Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is, wherever you are, welcome. This is the AI Empowered Fundraiser Show. I'm 𝗪𝗵𝘆, and I am so glad you're here. Delighted. Happy Friday. I'm just going to check and make sure that that is so funny. I'm on a Slack channel where we're talking about AI, and I just got someone just chimed in to say, I feel like 𝗪𝗵𝘆's voice is in my brain. Oh, good. So I'm definitely live. Good morning. It's really good. Well, good morning from Denver, Colorado in the United States of America, but good afternoon to those of you who are farther east, and maybe good evening to some of you who are in vastly other time zones. I'm just going to call up my LinkedIn to make sure that I can see what's happening here. I'm delighted that everybody's here. We posted this a little bit late in the game, but we know this topic came up a bunch this week with folks, and so I thought I would take the opportunity to just record a session about AI meeting recorders. I'm going to actually turn my light on. I'm in a hotel, and so the lighting is a little bit weird, so bear with me here. Let's see what happens. Okay, that seems a little better. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hi, everybody. Let me know in the chat where you are tuning in from. And please, this is very important. Please let me know what burning questions you have about meeting recorders. And I'll define what that even means. But what we're talking about is AI meeting recorders, the little machines that come to lots of our meetings now and record what's going on. I'm really eager to know, are you using AI meeting recorders? Do you like them? Do you not like them? Do you not have an opinion on them yet? Let me know what questions you have right off the bat, and I'll be sure to factor those in. Okay? All right. So we have a couple of things going on. One is this live stream we're kind of like, we're gearing up for making this into a podcast. And so we're in the middle of we're definitely doing Thursdays. We're sometimes doing Fridays. We're working on our AI automations to get our show notes page up so that you'll be able to go back and get the transcripts. You'll be able to get background on our speakers, figure out how to connect with them later. So we're a little bit of a work in progress. So for those of you who show up regularly, thank you. It's wonderful to see you here. And for those of you who are new, absolutely welcome. We're delighted. And feel free to bring a friend next time. We post these on LinkedIn to let people know when they're coming up, and they stream live to LinkedIn and to YouTube, and soon to a podcast platform near you. By soon, I mean probably like October, November, something like that. One of the things, so I wanted to share something quickly that's been on my mind this week. And we just talked about it a few minutes ago in our AI summer camp, which Rachel Kimber and I launched today. We've got a group of campers, students slash participants who are learning with us over the course of the next week. We're talking about leadership in the AI era. We're teaching hard skills, and we're going through the week using a use case of building out a fundraising initiative. So we'll be using AI tools to do everything from setting the strategy for an initiative / campaign, / big giving opportunity, strategy, marketing, communications, donor communications, solicitation, stewardship, etc. So we'll be using AI, lots of different tools, lots of different workflows to have some real-time experience with using these tools in ways that are utterly responsible and that will set people up to help their organizations move into the future. So we were talking about identity today, and I've been thinking about how all of our identities are changing in the AI era. and how right now, lots of us may think that we are not the kind of people who would have a relationship with an AI avatar or AI companion, AI agent, etc. But that, lots and lots, and some of us may never, go that route, but it's likely that most of us will. Character AI is an important platform. It is a platform where you can go on and create your own AI avatar. They look like you want, they sound like you want, they have the expertise you want, and you can be in ongoing conversation and relationship with them. And it's the third most popular platform in the world. So, obviously, some people like it. 20 million users as compared with ChatGPT's 160 million. But the average time that each user spends on the platform per day is 2 hours. So it's a pretty big deal. So starting to think about our identities in the AI space and how those are changing and the impact that platforms like Character AI are going to have on the work that we as fundraisers do with our donors as they are in conversation with avatars who help them get to know themselves better and who can help them go through, what are their values? What do they want to do with their legacy? What do they want to accomplish in the world? So it's going to be interesting to see how our donors and their interests and their knowledge of themselves evolves over the course of the next, 3, 6, 9, 18, 24 months. I think that the characters, the AI avatars are going to come on really strong, and we're gonna find that lots and lots of the people who we work with have AI avatars who they talk to maybe more than they talk to human beings. The topic, though, that we're focused on today is AI meeting recorders. And this comes up a lot. We talk about, what's good about them, what's bad about them, what can we use them for? How do we talk to people who are in meetings with us? How do we talk to our clients or our donors or our colleagues about the fact that we are using or are not using AI meeting recorders? So I wanted to kind of quickly today go through what we're talking about, right? What are these things? I'm going to share with you why I use them. And I'm going to share with you like the things that are not great about them. And I'm going to give you a couple of use cases and I'm going to show you a workflow. And we're going to do all of that before like 11:40 Mountain Time. Wait, no, 11:40 Pacific Time. Yes, I'm on Mountain Time right now, but 11:40 Pacific Time is when we're going to wrap up here. So I will dive in. And again, if you have any questions at all, any burning, questions that you want to be absolutely sure get answered, please do not hesitate. Please drop them in the chat because I want to gear this toward what you all are interested in. Quick street cred, you may already know me if you're on here. I'm not sure. This is the stuff that I'm up to. I'm having a blast with the world of AI and learning more and more about how we can use AI in all responsible ways that are helpful to the social impact sector. One of the things I'm really extra proud of is my role in the She Leads AI initiative. This is a global initiative to amplify the voices of women who are leaders in the AI landscape. We do events, we do knowledge swaps, we highlight each other on social media, and really the world is our oyster. We could go anywhere with this initiative. And then I also have the incubator, which is a community for women in AI. Lots of us are, really leaning into our work in the AI space. Some are pivoting their careers into roles that involve AI more. Some are entrepreneurs inside their organization, really pushing their organization to implement AI governance councils. Some of us are just super, super tech nerds. It's a fantastic place to be. It's one of my favorite places to be. And if you're ever interested in learning more about the incubator community, just please do reach out to me. Seems like a really important moment to remind people, because AI meeting recorders are capturing a lot of information, and how important it is that we not put confidential information into ChatGPT. You know, on the back end of recording the meeting, we're oftentimes going to be working through prompts to get the output that we want, that's going to be most useful to us for our meeting, like maybe planning the next meeting, or remembering what somebody said, or, you know, creating an SOP, standard operating procedure based on a conversation that we had over Zoom or Google Meet or Teams. So it's important that when we're going through those prompts with those transcripts, that we not put confidential information into ChatGPT. But we all know that, right? We all know that. So we're going to talk about what is an AI meeting recorder and why should I care? What are the pros, the cons? How do we talk about AI meeting recorders with people? And I'm going to share with you a workflow that you can use. Okay? All right. We are going to go back to just my big old head. Okay. Meeting recorders. Lots of you have probably seen in the last, a few months. When did Zoom integrate the AI recorders into the platform? So, you know, there's a little dot at the bottom that will allow you to record the meeting. And Zoom also has the AI companion, which when it's on, people can see like what happened in the meeting before they got on, was their name mentioned, are there any to-do items, etc. So it can allow people to jump in partway through a meeting and get caught up. Now, that's pretty cool, because how many of us are working on something really, really important, and we need to get together with our people to move the project forward, but you know, that one person isn't available and they need to be privy to the conversation. Well, now we can record it and they can watch it later. But if they just need to be late, that's okay. They can hop in late and they can catch up via the AI companion within Zoom. So if you don't want to get any other like third-party application, use the AI recorder within Zoom. It has less features than some of the other AI recorders, but perfectly good, and you know, a really good minimum viable product if you want to use it for a while and see how you like having your meetings recorded, see how you're using these tools. Are you making the most of it? If you were to go and buy, you know, subscribe to another platform, would you really use it, etc.? We like to max out the use of the, you know, free platforms before we move on to a paid platform. So there's Zoom. There are a few others that I'll rattle off that are really popular. One is 𝗪𝗡, and 𝗪𝗡 is an interesting one because it actually records. It's really focused on sales performance and sales meetings, and it actually will track how well the person you're talking to was paying attention. So it'll watch whether the person was multitasking, were they looking at the screen, you know, what was their body language like, what was their intonation like, to get a sentiment analysis at the end. So 𝗪𝗡 is really interesting, and I would say that one is like the most intense version. There's 𝗪𝗆𝐵uildBetter.ai. That's a good one. There's Otter.ai. A lot of people really, really love Otter.ai. We use Fathom AI. After using all of the different AI meeting recorders, we settled on Fathom. I would say that Otter is probably on par with it. But what we like about Fathom is that at the end of the meeting, if you want to send the transcript nicely formatted to people, it's just a one touch. If you don't want to run it through the transcript through a prompt, you can choose one of any 12 meeting or note formats. So it can be in question and answer format. It can be in like product development kind of journey format. It could be in just chronological. It can be organized by who said what. There's like 12 different, automatic ones that you can just press a button and it puts a transcript into that, and then you can just send it to the people who were in the meeting. So to recap, our favorite is Fathom AI, but Otter AI is very similar. And if you don't want to go bring a third party into your Zoom world, no sweat, Zoom has this built in. So that's a little brief overview on the meeting recorders that are out there. What the meeting recorder does is it records a video file. So you will have the whole video, and from the time you log on till the time you log off. If you are the host of the meeting, so when you're like putzing around in the beginning, it's capturing all of that. So sometimes the reason why you need to edit your video is because, while you were waiting for people to come on, you were like, barking back at your dogs, or, getting up and wandering around, or whatever, making weird faces while checking your email. So sometimes you do need to like trim your videos down a little bit after the meeting. So you'll have the video file, and then you'll have the transcript. So every word that was said during the meeting will be in the transcript. And I have found them to be very, very accurate. I had a situation recently where someone's microphone was making a little bit of a feedback sound, and it could not properly pick that up. And so all of their words in the transcript were muddled. Nothing made sense. So that was unfortunate, but now I know, right? If somebody's having like a weird audio thing, it might not pick it up, but otherwise it is very, very accurate. So that is what they are. And what are some of the pros? So I'm going to share with you some of the reasons why I love using meeting recorders. One, it's that, I've always been pretty obsessed with the notion of making meetings matter. Like, we spend so much time in meetings, and I have ADHD. Sitting still in a meeting is just like torture if it's not a good meeting. I begin to feel like, why am I here? I could be doing something else. And then I'm like, I'm hungry, I need to go to the store. What about my laundry? What about all this? And I'm just not that interested in being in a meeting that's not really, really well organized and well run. So AI meeting recorders, one of the benefits is that it very much helps you organize really good meetings, because as you incorporate these into all of your meetings, say you have a recurring meeting with somebody, you're going to have the transcript from your previous meeting, and then you may have from there drafted your agenda for today, right? And then you have the recording from your conversation today, and from there you're able to capture your notes about agreements that were made and form your agenda for the next meeting, et cetera, et cetera. So now we're getting into like fine-tuning the time that we spend together on screen. And by the way, you can absolutely use meeting recorders in person as well. And I can talk about that if I have a few minutes at the end. But we record most of our in-person meetings as well. So I love the fact that it helps us make meetings better. It helps us make them way more useful. And one of the ways that I wanted to just check something really quickly, I kind of put that into three categories. It's helpful for planning a meeting. It's helpful for the experience of the people who are in the session. Like I just shared about how people can come in late and get caught up. It helps it helps, hold on, I got to tell somebody that the timeline is cool. It helps us capture the agreements that we've made, and it helps us with our follow-up. So those are some of the reasons why, like, I think that meeting recorders are brilliant, because they can help us with the planning, the in-the-moment experience, capturing the agreements that we've made, and as well perform our follow-up tasks in a way that's more precise. Okay. Another reason why I really like meeting recorders is from an inclusion point of view. So for some people, being able to review a transcript or notes after a meeting is really important, because they may process information differently. You know, a meeting can be a very big, distracting. Certainly with Zoom, we've got lots of over talking that happens because we can't see all the body language. And so we're diving in, or sometimes nobody's saying anything, that thing that happens, nobody's saying anything, and then everybody starts talking at the same time. So for some folks, being able to read the notes is like way, 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 way better. And that's how they're going to learn more about what we've been talking about. That's how they're going to really get insights into what is going on, what was shared, the agreements that were made, what the plans are going forward. So for that point of view, I think it's important that we have multiple formats for our meetings, and the recorders allow us to do that. Another thing I really like about it is also from an inclusion perspective, that when I review a meeting record, let's say I'm doing like a listening session for a feasibility study, and there's, 16 people on the call. Our goal is to hear from everybody. 16 people is a lot of people. So if we don't hear from everybody, we're sure hoping we hear from most people. But then what if like one or two people dominate the conversation? Well, when I'm in the moment facilitating a meeting, I'm not able to track who spoke and who didn't. But when I go and review the transcript, that's where I can reflect on, okay, who did we not hear from? And like, why is that important, right? How can we get their input another way? So I may know who I need to circle back with, which is really important. So yes, and then the other thing is Fathom shows the talk time for each person while you're going, and that allows me to see if somebody is taking up too much, because that sometimes is the reason why people aren't getting a word in. Power imbalance. Sometimes it's folks who are introverted. Sometimes it's people who are low energy or have something else going on. Or who are kind of like auditing the meeting. They're there, but they're not there. But the AI recordings allow us to ensure that we're capturing the voices of everybody who needs to be captured, even when that means that we will be circling back with them later. When I really fell in love with AI recorders was when I had COVID for 18 months, and I couldn't remember what was happening in our meetings. I would have a meeting, be super, super engaged, but by, a few hours later, I had absolutely no energy and my brain was mush and I couldn't remember what we talked about. So I was able to use the transcripts from the meetings to figure out, like, what did I agree to? What are my follow-up items? What nuances did I miss because my brain was tired? So that's when I really fell in love with using AI meeting recorders. And just that kind of opportunity to have like a second brain almost is really helpful. I like using meeting recorders also because a lot of times I'm doing a lot of follow-up afterward. I may be interviewing somebody and I'm taking what they shared with me and turning it into a piece of content. And so having all of their words captured, right, like their verbatim language there, allows me to write more impactfully, right? If I can use their language, I can use the color that they've brought into it, and I'm not inadvertently kind of glossing over or summarizing their wording that might remove some of that meaning. So a lot of times I just need those inputs so that I can create content based on the conversation that we had. I use it for lots and lots of client meetings. Oftentimes, it's absolutely crucial for me to be able to articulate, what their pain points are, what their hopes and dreams are, where they see themselves in 18 months. If we've mentioned a timeline, if we've mentioned a budget, next steps. By recording it, I'm able to go back and revisit, particularly think if it was a high stress meeting, right? And there's a lot going on and I'm kind of managing my nerves at the same time. I may not remember little details that are so important to effective follow-up. Or my team will watch it back, or I will watch their meetings back. If they need to know what happened in a client meeting because they've got follow-up steps as well, they may watch it or they may read the notes. So that's another reason why we like to use it. What else? What are some of the other reasons? Yeah, I think for any of our meetings, one of the ways we use the transcripts is to help accelerate our follow-up. So we put a lot of energy into making sure that people in our general community know that they are cared for. And one of the things that's most important there is that they know that they are heard. So when we do our meeting follow-up, we want to be able to capture, here's what we heard from you, right? And here are our next steps, and here's what we're working on. So we can reflect back, and sometimes it's really helpful to be able to talk, upload that transcript into a GPT or into ChatGPT or into 𝗨𝗏, whatever, and be able to talk to transcript and ask it questions like, what was that dollar amount that Sue mentioned? What was the timeline? What was the name of the person at that one center that was mentioned? What was that publication? What did I say I was going to do? What did so-and-so say they were going to do? So-and-so mentioned XYZ person. I can't remember the name. So you don't even have to go back and watch it. You can just ask AI, right? You can use AI to ask the transcript what was said. I hope that makes sense. So a couple of other those are some of the pros. I'm going to share really quickly some cons, and then I'm going to show you a use case. So there are some downsides. One is privacy concerns. So you may be recording a call, if you have your Zoom set up to record automatically, you may forget that you need to turn it off, right? Let's say you're about to enter into a critical conversation that should not be recorded, right? You don't want there to be a record of it. Your AI companion, you have to remember to turn it off. So that's a thing. Alternatively, you can have it set in Zoom that it automatically is off and you have to invite it to the meeting. I always forget to invite it to the meeting. So I have things set so they automatically turn on. And if I need to turn them off, I turn them off. Another thing is that, it may be off-putting to people. So it's entirely possible that somebody doesn't want to be recorded. I remember one of the first times I encountered an AI meeting recorder, I was having a meeting with a peer, and his AI recorder popped on. And I said, "Oh, your AI recorder is on. You're recording this," because I just wasn't acclimated to that new thing in our society yet. And it was on because they record all their calls for their salespeople to listen back for professional development and training, et cetera. And so he just has his set to immediately turn on. So, but initially I was off put. I was why would nothing we're talking about here today needs to be recorded. Now I don't worry about it as much. Sorry for the yawn. I'm underslept, tired today. Looking forward to the weekend. Next kind of downside is, so there's the privacy. There's what if it's off-putting. There's sometimes it's just distracting, right? Like Fathom has a box on the screen. So if that kind of a thing bothers you visually, then that's a consideration. Sometimes if we're talking about the meeting recorder, that conversation can take away from the agenda. Those are some of the downsides. Now, for me, the upsides outweigh the downsides, and I'm very willing to navigate the downsides, which primarily for me is how do we talk to people about our AI meeting recorder? So when they come on, how do we introduce the fact that we would like to use our AI meeting recorder? So here are a few ways that I handle that. One is, like with our clients, it's in our contract. So we indicate right up front that we use AI meeting recorders to help us streamline our work and keep track of all of the juicy details, right? That everything that we are working on with our client is of the utmost importance to us, and we don't want to miss any details. So we're upfront that we use AI meeting recorders, and we do. If we don't have an AI meeting recorder because our client prefers not to, but we're doing a lot of note taking and follow-up, we do have a surcharge on our fee because we then use our admin support human being for doing that. So we talk about it in our contracts. We talk about it at the outset of a meeting. If it's our first time meeting with a person, we will say, we have our meeting recorder on. It's not mandatory. Here's why we use it. Here are some of the pros and cons. If we ever enter into a part of a conversation that you would like us to not record, you just let us know and we'll turn it off. And I would say, probably 10% of the time I'll turn the meeting recorder off during a meeting because either it's clear that now now we are just talking about personal stuff and that we don't need to record it, or if we get into a category of conversation where there's a higher degree of confidentiality and having the meeting recorder on could make people feel uncomfortable. So we are just pretty open about it. I know that other people feel a lot more sensitive than I do about it. So I think, though, that that's a matter of time and just the number of reps. Because I've been using them for so long, I don't really notice it. There's nothing unusual about having it on in the background. So sometimes I don't even really mention it, but people ask a lot about how to talk to people about it. So I would say it's an example of, just like anything else in the AI landscape, of like really leaning into your empathy and understanding that, people are concerned about what's happening with their data. That's going to be the main concern. People worry that, their private conversations are going to go into an AI model to be trained on, which is fair, right? We all need to be really thoughtful about where our data is going. Okay. At this point, I want to remind people, do you have any questions about AI meeting recorders, or let me know how you are using meeting recorders in your life? Drop it in the chat. I'm going to launch into a use case really quickly on how I use AI meeting recorders to completely up-level huge, important parts of our business. And this would work for consultants, employees, nonprofit staff, whatever, industry, it doesn't matter. It's totally agnostic to what you're up to. So the way that we use Fathom is, obviously we have the video recording. It all lives in our Fathom interface. You've got all the video recordings, nice, neat, clean, and organized. We also have an automation set up so that when our meeting ends, the Fathom recording and the transcript goes into our Google Drive automatically. So I have a Google Drive folder called AI Fathom meeting recordings or something like that. And anytime I want to find the transcript, I just go grab it from my Google Drive. You can also just grab it from their interface. It's right there. It's like one button. So you'll have your video, and then there's a little button that says, like, not a little button, a medium-sized button that says copy transcript. Boop. You just copy the transcript, and then you can do whatever you want with it. So we store them, like we archive them in Gmail. In Google Drive. And what I do is I have found over time that while I do love the fact that I can just do like a one button, press to get the notes from the transcript, I've been able to develop prompts that give me exactly what I need. So there are a couple of steps that I'm able to take that save so much time, easily 45 minutes per meeting for this follow-up, where I'm taking, everything from my meeting. I'm running the transcript through a prompt in ChatGPT or through a custom GPT that I've made. And the prompt will have, has very specific instructions on what to do with the transcript. I ask it to organize the conversation just so it's like, more consumable. So put some headings on there, put some bullet points, say who was talking. So just like a straightforward reorganization of the transcript. So it's not just like a whole, like drinking from a fire hose thing. Then I run it through a prompt to write a contact report for me. So it has, what was the purpose of the meeting, who was in the meeting, what's their background, what are their hopes and dreams or their mission or their, their why, how do I know them, are they interested in working with us, was their timeline mentioned, was there a dollar amount mentioned, what did I commit to, what agreements were made, who influences their decision-making process, right? So I've got a prompt that gives me all the things that I need, and it puts it into a nice, neat, clean, and organized contact report, and it provides for me 3 different subject lines, so I can choose the one that's best. Now, I do go in and edit those, right, so that I know for sure it has exactly what I need, and they live, on our system. They don't go anywhere out into the world. After that, once I have that contact report, I ask ChatGPT to make me my follow-up email. And so I have a custom GPT that's trained on exactly how I want my email to look, exactly the tone of voice. It sounds exactly like me. And what I love about that is that it's completely consistent from one email to the next. Like, one of the things I would think is really important in an email is to ask the person how they would like to be followed up with, right? If you haven't worked with them before, you're like, gosh, you would need to know, like, are they an email person, a text person, a Slack person, a phone person? Like, how do they consume information? I always forget to put that in my emails, always. So having a GPT that automatically puts that in there is a godsend. So my email template is formatted exactly as I want it to be. It sounds like me. Once it's generated, I do, talk back and forth to ChatGPT to tweak a few little things. A good example with AI is that most of them will begin all communication with, I hope you are well, even though I have it programmed multiple different ways to not say, I hope you are well, but it says, I hope you are well. The problem is that if everybody else's email also says, I hope you're well, then everyone looks like they're using ChatGPT. So, and I don't want my writing to scream, I used AI. So that's one of the things is, so then you do have to go back and edit your email. Then the final thing I do, is I ask for my to-do list. And in theory, that will go to my Slack and my Google, my Gmail, my email would go to my Gmail drafts, and my contact report would go to my CRM. I just haven't set those automations up yet, but it's really not that big of a deal. But I get my to-do list then, which allows me then to delegate the pieces of it that I don't need to be the one to do, and to really focus in on the things that I need to do. I understand, like, the things that I said the things that I committed to, and if I need to put a timeline on those, if I need to put a timeline on those for myself or promise the donor or the client or my colleague when they might have them, I get to go back and revisit the to-do list so that I can make sure that I am, delivering on the promises that I've made, the agreements that I've made. So essentially, to recap, that is meeting transcript, running that through a prompt to get a meeting summary, running that through a prompt to get a contact report, running that through a prompt to get an email follow-up, and running, probably the summary through a prompt to get my to-do list. Now, I do have all of these prompts, and if you are interested in using them, please feel free to DM me. Eventually, I'm going to put them into a prompt gallery. I just haven't done that yet. If you're interested in like the meeting follow-up flow prompt, feel free to reach out to me and I'd be happy to share that with you. So I hope this is helpful. I hope this helps you, decide, do you want to use meeting recorders? Do you not want to use meeting recorders? How you'll talk to people about it, what some of the pros and cons are, and an example of a meeting follow-up flow. And that meeting follow-up flow for me is, for an important meeting, that's a 45-minute task that now gets done in 3-4 minutes. So that's a big deal. I have, usually 6 or so meetings a day, I would say on average, maybe on average 5. But, there are days where it's easily 10 meetings. So having access to what really happened in those meetings is important. Okay, that's what I have for you today about AI meeting recorders. I hope this is helpful. Please, please, please feel free to reach out at any point. Oh, and really quickly before I sign off, the Advanced AI Writing course is on demand now. So scan that QR code and you'll be able to go to our landing page with our Advanced AI Writing workshop on it. And you can get immediate access to that by just signing up on our landing page. And I will leave it to you to learn more about what all is in that course, because I got to hop off because I got to go see a friend. Again, everybody, happy Friday. Have a beautiful weekend. And I